the garden. And today I'm going to be actually sharing with you all. Um, I had done a first recent post where I was actually speaking about how I started my businesses, and I have stopped where I actually had started some of the businesses, and they're actually quite taken off. So now I'm going to be sharing with you today what are actually the pros and cons, which is the advantages or the disadvantages in actually doing businesses and knowing what business to start, knowing when to pull, when to push, right? So here I'm going to give you guys a short tour into the garden. As I was going to be giving you a tour into the garden, I'm going to also going to be showing you the pros and cons which I actually faced from the garden to actually the investing part, and what type of business you should really invest in, and how to invest in different businesses that's not going to actually take up your time to kill the business strategy that you have for your other businesses. So as we get into it, first of all, I want to show you all that from here, I'm starting with it from here is because we have just did a recent cleanup after the hurricane had actually passed. We hadn't had much losses. We have just lost one planting tree due to the wind, and every other thing seems okay. Okay, just a little setback because of the leaves. Some of the leaves were actually beaten up, and there been a little setback from there. But we gonna work on that as we're gonna get ready for manuring and molding and cleaning the stems from all different types of insects. As we're gonna actually get into the leaf sheets to help kill the plant. So today, as we continue talking, we had actually stopped from the last video which I was doing, where I was saying that um, when I started my businesses, I started businesses because I see the light in doing businesses. Okay, it's not a bad thing to start businesses. It's very good, especially in the farming method of it. It's really good. But actually, if you're starting businesses, you would want to start businesses that's not going to actually override other businesses. So, for instance, I can say like when I had my nursery, I had made a bad move in starting a seasoning business, right? Bottle seasoning selling. It's going to be a little bit straining for me knowing that the nursery actually takes up most of my time, okay? And if you're doing it as a sole proprietorship, it's going to be you alone as that business person doing everything, right? Handling everything, less vibes. It's not to say that you don't want to pay anybody to do it, but it's just that maybe you may have a plan for yourself, understanding why you start a business, um, why you actually want to learn from business for yourself as a business owner. So when I was actually doing the nursery, it was actually tying in together with my seasoning. So actually, I had to be in the nursery doing the seedlings, and this takes real time. I'm telling you, plenty of time. So actually, I that was my first mistake. And from then, I actually decided that, okay, I'm not going to stop the business. I'm not going to close it down. I think about it, but I said I'm not going to do it because actually it's already started taking off. So I continued with the flow, right? So in continuing with the flow, he had showed me that actually sometimes actually you may want to start businesses that you seems that's going to be nice for you, that's going to be okay for you, but actually in this kind of a time, sometimes the time is money, and if you manage your time very well, you're gonna earn big. But if you don't manage your time very well, you're gonna actually earn small. So when I started this year now, which is the plantains, figs, dashings, um, whatsoever you actually see here, this wasn't any pressure for me in any form, right? That was no pressure at all. I could actually plan these things. I can actually go for a week, 2 weeks, as long as I clean the place like this. I can actually leave here for 2 weeks, just give it the manual, make sure that there is enough rainfall, watering, and actually I can leave this for some time. Okay, this is not going to actually affect me anyway. This is going to be something that I'm going to actually have control over. So my timing when it comes to this business here, when I'm doing the long-term crops, this is not going to affect any of my other businesses. So what I decided to do is actually, since from the manual labor business, I think about the manual labor business. It was very good. I invested from the farming. I entered into the animal section, and that's what I'm trying to build up right now. And then I'm going to be going back up to the top to do something like a little Airbnb host. So I'm thinking about that also because I got the structures for it. So I'm gonna be doing that later on. And for now, as I said, I'm actually working on the animal section. So building up the animal, I already have the land for it. So between these two businesses, as you can see, long-term crops where I don't have to spend much time, and also the animals where I don't have to spend much time. This is actually a very, very good business. If you want to tie in businesses, you can do that two businesses. They don't require much time, okay? It's just a pass and watch, um, 2 days, 3 days to actually clean the place and manure if necessary, stick if necessary, um, regulate the trees if necessary, and keep the field sanitized, right? So that's just it in a nutshell. So after I actually think about the businesses, then I actually started the YouTube, right? And the YouTube was actually to get the businesses out there, from my Facebook channel, mm, going actually all with the different platforms to actually bring out the businesses which I have, and now they're actually out on the market. Persons know what I do, and there's not a problem if I open another business anywhere. I already have that ongoing, um, audience that is going to actually reach out and actually support. So this is not a problem, but as I looked into it a little deeper, I actually did my researches, so I recognize that there is times that you will not have to put all your eggs into one basket because what's going to happen, you're going to lose in the ending of it all. You're going to lose, like, sometimes you have one business trying to keep up, and then in the ending of everything, that business falls and you got to start all over again. So that's a whole big strategy that you don't want to actually get yourself into. So this is my reasons for actually doing multiple things at the same time. So in case I have to wait for this one here, I'll have another one bringing in the revenues. And in case that I see that maybe the revenue is not that big, I can actually look for one that has a bigger revenue and I can dive into it. So that's it for the farming side of it, right? So as I get into the farming structure, it was a nursery, as you can see here in the garden, and now newly the animals, and then the Airbnb host. I'm gonna leave that for some time still. And now I'm actually getting into some things like online businesses. Okay, so as I did my research and I recognized that you don't have to actually leave all your eggs into one basket, I actually started looking at the bigger picture. That okay, if I have a little bit of my farming, so this I can use as my backup business. Okay, so if you take a look at here, I can say this is my backup business. This is the business I am going to actually say, well, you know what? In case my online business is flapped down, because I can tell you, based on the hurricane that actually passed, I could see I got a very, very good knowledge of how backup business is really important when you're actually doing investments. Okay, so for instance, I'm doing an online business, right? I have all my eggs in one basket. I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing, affiliate marketing, whatever it may be, right? And I'm actually going hard with it. And out of nowhere, the hurricane comes, the lines fall down, no electricity. I have no source of income, right? I have to rely on my own income to actually get myself ongoing. According to how bad the place has been damaged, it may take me over for maybe some months, right? 4 5 months to actually get the place running again, to get the current, to get the facilities that I actually need to get my business back on starting. So this is why I actually looked into it and I said that when the hurricane had passed, I'm actually getting into the affiliate marketing part of it, and it's going pretty good for me. And as the hurricane came, that actually showed me that okay, if you only want to depend on the online businesses, whenever things like this pass, which persons has no control over, how are you going to actually get to be continue going with your businesses? And then I looked and I said, you know what? It's really good to have a backup business. You may not like farming, you may not like any other businesses. You don't have to be farming directly. It can be a nursery where you do actually flowers, kitchen garden, whatsoever you want to do. You don't have to be farming, as I said. It could be poultry, it could be livestock, it could be any other businesses. But make sure that you have an actual business plan that's going to back up your business plan in case of when things like disasters. Okay? I'm not saying that if the disaster is not that bad, I wouldn't lose many of my planting trees. But the reason why I said do the long-term crops is because one person actually told me that during the Hurricane Ivan season, I actually goes on spend a lot of times with the older heads in my community who actually do farming. So he said that during the Ivan section, when he had passed since 2004, he said that he used to do a lot of plantings, and what mistake he actually made, he never did things like dashings, right? Never did things like tanyas, never did things like yam, like the underground things. He said he never really actually looked into it. And as the hurricane passed, it was very devastating for Grenada. I was too young to remember this, but I heard it. And he said that he had lost all his planting trees. So I'm not saying I'm not going to lose my trees due to the hurricane seasons, but actually he taught me that I should plant things like dashings in between, a little yams, a little. So in case the hurricane pass, in case whatsoever pass, and it do a big demolition, you still have something that you can actually live by until you get yourself going again. Okay? So that's something that I actually learned, and I would like to share it to any other persons that going into investing. And as I said, if you're actually investing, my biggest point for investors is actually sit down first, plan out your business the way that it should be planned, right? When I said plan out your business the way it should be planned, try to look at businesses within your timing because that's where you make your money. So your timing is gonna be the ones making you know how far you're gonna reach, how much money you're gonna make. So you don't want to actually do business that is gonna clash into businesses, which I actually did, and this had actually taken my time. Okay, so you want to try to choose businesses that you love, but the businesses that's not gonna try to affect your other business when it comes to time, and that's a very very good aspect when you're doing business. So I'm gonna give you all a little tour around the garden, and as I continue going around the garden, no, I'm going to actually be continue doing some other things. So as I continue going, um, I'm going to show you all how I actually get more of my plans going. What are the pros and cons? Even in my videos, I actually showed where I can actually started my planting plans, how they were actually going, what are the real reasons I actually do what I do, and if I have to actually encourage anybody to do business, to do farming, I would actually recommend, as I said from my other videos, I would actually recommend that we do videos concerning um, the long-term crops, right? I used to do the short-term crops, and I can share my experience. That's what I actually started my channel in the first place. So because I had the nursery and I actually had the space for farming, I bought a pump, I bought lines, and all the stuff like that. I head straight into the short crop industries, and I was doing pretty good. I wouldn't say 100%. There was certain things I still had actually missing, but I said, well, I'm gonna make it up because actually this is what I do. Okay, so I said I love dealing with plants. I love dealing with seeing how the small plants grow and actually selling them for supermarkets, whatsoever, whosoever want to actually buy them. And it was a very good thing for me starting up, but without a little knowledge, without a little guidance, I did have a little knowledge about farming. I did had a grade 2 in farming from my school, so I had prior knowledge towards how farming works, right? But the main reason for me with the farming was actually the marketing because of our country. There is so many farmers, so much of farmers, and the farmers actually go big scale, and persons recommend on rely on these farmers actually because these farmers actually, they get the things going. Okay, they actually have produce that they can actually have from time to time. So every business person, even myself right now, I'm gonna like to rely on somebody that's gonna actually giving me something consistent, right? I don't want to take something from someone that's gonna be giving me this week and then next month they cannot give me. That's how business operates, right? Money have to flow, cash have to flow, and stuff like that. So my whole problem with the short crop farming is that I had to actually make the plants and I actually had to plant the plants and I actually had to sell the plants, right? So this was a lot of pressure, time in the nursery, time in the garden, because the short crop need a lot of time just as a nursery. So this was a mistake I actually had made, right? Because I will have to mold, I will have to weed, I will have to manual, I'll have to look for any deficiency in the short crops to actually try to get sprays, try to get all different type of chemicals to actually spray the plants. Maybe not the harmful chemicals, but it may be like things like organic or chemicals where I'm going to be used to actually keep the plants in a good shape and not too on the spree side. Persons don't really like the vegetables like this. They like the organic stuff. So I try to do it organic as possible. So this was a problem for me actually, and I would say I still did it. It wasn't that much of a big pressure for me, but I still did it. And where I saw my mistake was is that my nursery were tying in there, and the timing were not corresponding. Okay, there were times that I could not actually produce the plants on a regular basis, continuously, because it was actually I alone until I got some friends come over. And no, I'm actually still looking to get some persons to actually do some collaboration with me when it comes to farming, so they too can actually have a piece of share in my businesses, and they can actually earn something for themselves, right? So I'm not looking at it for me alone to make all the money. I'm looking at it for if there is anybody else who's actually loving farming, who's actually want to get themselves into farming, and they see this as an opportunity for themselves to grow bigger. I will like for the to actually come, and they can do what they can do. They can plant what they can plant for themselves. They may have little ideas that I'm not looking into. They may have little directions I'm not actually looking into also. So this could be something that I myself can say something I can actually learn from. Okay. So when it comes to farming on a while, business on a while, investments on the whole, I will say in a nutshell, it's pretty a hard task. It's pretty an ongoing task where you has to have your mind have to actually be right focused. You have to be really, really steadfast towards one point, and your steadfastness should be actually on how far you're going to see yourself going with whatever you're doing, whatever business you're actually doing, how far you want to see yourself going, and how much you intend to make by the end of the year, and such like that. Okay, it's not something that you pressure yourself on. You don't try to make the money that you cannot make, but you go hard, right? You give it your best shot. That's what I learned. You want to start a business, you give it your best shot. You go directly hard. You go for the win, even if you may not win. You go for the win, right? And when you go for the win, sometimes you get half of the win, and you're still satisfied with the amount you put out and actually the progress you actually made. So it's not bad, it's not bad, it's not something that you should see as actually a dirty hand job. As I said, persons may not want to farm because that's where you get yourself dirty and stuff, but there is soap, there's water, there's things to clean yourself up, and you don't want to sleep like this. So it's not actually every time you come to the garden you're going to be dirty. That's the whole point of it, right? So if you're just starting, you're going to get yourself dirty. You have to turn over the garden from maybe a woody garden to actually a place like this, maybe just bush to a place like this, and after you plant your plants, you have enough plants and stuff like that. One other point I can actually say with the short crop together with my long-term crop is actually that's something I actually didn't look into, right? As I said, the more you go into things, the more you learn things, and you open yourself to the learning of things, right? So from this, I will use this as an example. When I was actually doing short crops, right? My short crops, I had to actually get the plants. After I sell the lettuce, I had to produce more lettuce plants to actually have that business going. But the advantage of this is that I don't have to actually worry where I get the plants anymore, right? The plants actually comes from the mother plant itself. That's a number one less expenditure for your pocket, right? You don't have to actually wonder where you're gonna have to get a plant after this one bears. It sends up mother suckers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, according to how the stool goes, according to the molding of the stool. It sends up a lot of suckers, and actually, you just take off the suckers after the plant had chewed. You take off the sucker, and you leave one back to continue that race, and you take off the rest, and you got two new plants. That's like two new profits. Check, which you actually didn't even have to put a finger or do anything for. But you get two new plants, and that two new plants can make at least 6, 7 other plants again when you plant them off other places. And just like that, you have a big farm. Easy and simple. So that is it I want to actually share with you all today. So as I said, the main focus of investing If you're investing, it's not bad to invest. If you love investing, if you want to get into farming, if you want to get into business, I could say on a whole, do not actually rush it because it's all about business and it's all about money. But really sit down and actually plan the thing together. See where actually you're going to start 6, 7 businesses. See what business is going to take most of your time. See if it's worth tying in with the other businesses you actually want to do. And if you started like me, you started with one, you haven't seen the need, the motive for business. It was never in your blood, and you get the opportunity to start it one, and you see that they want to go more. Don't just think of a business and actually start it. Sit down, make a little plan, see the business you're doing, whatever business may be doing. It may not be farming, it may be something else, it may be like whatever you do, right? See if the other business you're doing is not going to affect the business that you're actually going to be opening next, right? And if it doesn't affect you, or I'm not going to say it's not going to affect your other business, it will, right? But when it comes to time, see if that one business is not taking too much of time. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you see that it's not really affecting each other that bad, it will affect each other because it's two different businesses. It requires responsibilities. It requires your time, your presence sometimes. So it will affect the both businesses. But don't see it as an affection, right? See it as you starting another business. And if you actually get it going and it's really good, it's really great, I will actually recommend you giving that business the go, the green light, and go hard for it. Do not actually say that you're gonna go halfway or you're gonna try a thing. It's not about trying. Your money actually had spent, your investment, your time, your whole energy, your whole effort, your whole everything has actually gone into that business. So don't see it as something that you say you're gonna try. Give it your best shot. Make sure you actually go hard for that farming, whatever it may be. Go hard for it, and if you see progress in the first 2, 3, 4 months, you can actually say that this business has taken off. Now it's time for me to actually found that business. And when founding that business, you want it. When I said found that business, I'm actually saying put that business on the ground, okay? Overcome that business, know that business inside out, see if you can actually play with that business, right? With this business here, I can say actually I can play with this. I already have this on the ground. I can play with this. I can leave this for some time. I can go again. I can come back. I can actually go so. I can go wherever I want. I can leave here right now. I can go to the St. George's. I can go sit down. I can go eat. I can go drink. I can go do anything I actually want because I actually can play with that business right now. That business is founded on the ground. I don't have much responsibility here again. So if you actually going into businesses, as I said, write your plan. It requires a good plan. And if you starting with one and you want to go with more, you can go more. So I'm just gonna give you all a little tour into the garden and show you all how it actually been. So far I got one or two plants that actually showed. Um, this was the plant which I actually said had failed from the hurricane. So I won't hurt my head on it too much. As I said, I made that thing based on how it actually comes up. So I don't really love to see my garden like this with plants falling down there and it's just there. But I'm gonna give it some time again. I love to see the place clean, sanitized, and all of that. So also, this over there is my ship. So it actually has a small one, and this is the mother. So the little one, I did some short videos where I actually bring her out, shows everyone. So that's alright. And besides her, there's another goat, but she's actually too far up the hill. So that's it in a nutshell. The place looks pretty great. I could say like it's been really, really, really tremendous when doing farming. It's a really, really nice learning experience when you're doing farming, especially the long-term part of farming. And if you look closely, right, you can see I have things like big times, right? So as I said, I mentioned earlier, I actually does a water business for seasonings, right? I do seasonings, so I have my fine leaf thyme, and I got my other types of thyme, fine leaf thyme, basils, and other ingredients which I actually put into my seasoning. So this is my garden. This is one of my garden. The other garden where I have my goats, I actually doing a big field of yam there. I started planted a whole set of yam, so it's been a lot of yam. So that piece of garden goes all the way up to the hill, but I am doing some cleaning up, and if you can see right there, so it's a little bit dirty for now because I actually just did some cutting there. So I'm going to be doing some raking up, and I'm going to be continue going all the way up to the top, right? So for this garden, I want to make that my main project, right? This is going to be my main project garden. I'm going to be having at least three returns here. It's going to be dashing, it's going to be planting figs, and I want to see if I can get some space to do some pumpkins. But when it comes to pumpkins, I want to actually try to run my pumpkins in a different spacing, right? So I can actually see my garden, and even when it comes to cleaning, I don't affect my pumpkin. So it's something I'm gonna have to sit down and really look at and actually get going. Okay. So when it comes to farming on a whole, yes, as I said, it's a dirty hand crop. When it comes to business investing on a whole, yes, it's a dirty hand crop, right? But it requires a little bit of sacrifice, and then boom, you get the money, you get whatsoever the outcome may be. So just see it like this. Also, if you got a piece of land sitting actually into your backyard, whatever it may be, um, don't just leave it there. It may have a little bush. It may not be as big as this. It may be bigger than this as well as. You don't have to work the whole thing in one day, but if you've got a little plot into your land, and maybe in the back of your house, in the front yard, you don't must actually do it in a way that it looks like farming, right? It's your home. You don't want to actually um, decorate your home with a pile of banana trees and stuff like that. But if it's in your backyard, you can actually stick a two banana trees, maybe a one fig tree. That's going to be food for you. You may not be selling. You may not be a seller. You may not have enough produce for sale, but you can produce, and by then it may actually encourages you to get a piece of garden and do something like this, right? So for now, it looks pretty great. I cannot say that I am not satisfied with the way they actually turned out. And I do have a little fertilizing to do. When I'm doing the fertilizing, I may not go live, but I will do a video to show you all how I actually fertilize, what type of fertilizer I actually used. I mentioned it in my videos. I actually use the fertilizer which I know help the roots, right? The main focus in this country here, we experience a lot of dry season. So I want to focus on the roots, especially because the roots is actually what keeps the plant standing. Even though there is a little bit of suckers around, I want those to be actually good suckers also. So if I give them the good manure like the urea, which is actually good for doing things like getting roots, whenever this plant showed and I harvest from it, I'm gonna have some powerful plants. The plant's not gonna take any time to start off. As long as there is water and I replant them to a different location, they're gonna kick off because they already has good roots foundation. So that's the whole problem here. And ever since I'm growing up, that's what I see the failure in farmers when it comes to these things. It's the roots, right? Because down here, when it's raining, it's raining. Now it's raining, so that's why I'm trying to clean up, try to plant back what I have to plant back, how I could plant it back and all of that, and fertilize, get them off the ground, because I know when the dry season hits, it actually near kill the plant. Can near kill the plants because all of this is going to get dry as quick as possible. All the green is going to get dry. I'm going to see a lot of ants. So what I start doing is I start actually taking off the old shit here. You want to keep that tree clean. This is what's going to give you the the best bunch of plantings. You want to actually see all your planting trees as giving you the best bunch of plantings. So it's not to say like this tree is smaller and it's not going to be a big or something. You want to give your tree all the same caring, the same treatment, so that they can give you a very good production. Okay, that's something you got to actually hold in your mind, hold in your heart, whatsoever you want to hold it. Besides this, even those here, quickly the points I'm just going to share um, when it comes to doing a lot of farming. These things, you don't want these things. This is only there because actually I just cleaned up and I'm still in the cleaning process. I haven't finished as yet. This yellow branch is actually there. You don't want that. These things actually create a lot of on the hair. You're gonna get a lot of fungus, and those fungus can actually transfer to other leaves and kill the whole plant, right? So you want to focus on getting as much green leaf as possible so that the green leaves can help the fruit to actually get time to give a good production. Okay, so even though there's another benefit I can say is actually when it comes to doing farming with the banana field and you want to make some quick, nice, pretty money, hear what I said you can actually do. Do the plantains. It's a real good hit. It's a fast turnover. It's a fast money income. Okay? Even if it's 9 months time, 6 months time, you're gonna get a faster return with the bananas. If it were all bananas, they were all gonna be chewing at the same time because this tree here is a tree I actually planted, right? It haven't been a big bunch, but I'm gonna leave it a full. This is a tree I actually plant, and I have other fig trees which I actually planted before this tree was planted. Even this tree is gonna come through just now, and the fig trees haven't yet showed anything as yet. So that's things that I actually have to. I'm trying to recon it, right? I'm trying to get to plant more plantings. Whenever I harvest and I cut down, I try to take out all my suckers and replant them into new locations so that I can have more planting trees and less fig trees. And then later on, my other plan is that when I get rid of most of the fig trees, I'm gonna be only doing 2 rows of per fig per a side of the whole garden, go right up to the bottom. Okay, so the figs, the figs are gonna actually stay on the side because the planting is the real money making or the breadwinner, as you can say. So that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. That's just the first part of the garden, and as I continue going, if there is anything new that I would like to invest in, um, I will share it with you all. Okay, I'm not gonna leave you all out, even if it's not farming, right? Because I love investing. I will invest all my money, right? Because I know that that's gonna be a profit for me later on in life. So I can invest all my money into investing into businesses that I know for sure it is gonna be bringing production, right? So when it comes to actually my Airbnb host, I started it already, but we tried doing some plantings and some figs in that garden, but I don't know. That garden had needs some actually reformation. Okay, so as I said, it was a garden that my grandmother used to work, so she told me to hold on to them still, do some working into them. But for this one up there, um, it needs a lot of reaching in back into the soil. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rest that soil. So I'm gonna do an Airbnb there. It's not gonna be something that I'm gonna put in a wall structure into the garden, but it's gonna be something like a frame structure, right? Something that I can brick, something that's not gonna use up much space of the land, so the land can have enough time to rest. And within that time, I'm gonna buy some manuals, and I'm just gonna throw it into the garden. It's not gonna be the manual which you buy from supermarkets and stuff like that, like 12 24, 16 24, urea, calcium, nitrate, phosphorus, and things. I'm not going to be showing that seed manual there because that seed manual there is a instant manual. I'm going to be showing things like poultry manuals, things like fowl manuals, boilers, layers, um, sheep, goats, cow. I'm just going to throw them actually into the garden, let the land build back up itself while it rests for a few time if the Airbnb take off, and I'm just gonna continue throwing money there in case I'm gonna see this as a later backup for my business. In case the Airbnb, as I said, when it comes to disasters, No one can travel, right? Who knows how long this thing's gonna last for? So I can, within that time, I can live off my Airbnb. I can just use a small section, and I can do a piece of farming there. That's gonna be a turnover for me also when it comes to doing business. So in business, especially in farming, you want to look for something that can give you a turnover. It may not be big, it may not be that big, but not too small, right? But you don't want to labor for something that's gonna get small. You want to labor for something that could give you at least a four, $500 for the end of the month, right? That's a little small still, but when it comes to starting, that's a figure you want to look at because you're just starting. But when it comes to getting bigger parts in businesses, you want to look for something like two, $5,000 per month. When you're pulling out, you want to pull out. When you're cutting, when I'm cutting plantains and fig here, I want to be cutting at least 30, 30 bunches of fig, 40 bunches of plantains. At least that's my goal, right? And as I continue going here, this is gonna be something that I want to actually put the effort into. I don't want to just say I want to have these things and they don't come true. I want to put myself in the position to have it, to cut at least 30 and 40, right? So that's it here. So as I always said, if you're farming, don't try to farm one. There's a lot of space into the garden when it comes to dealing with figs. You want to stick it to the dashings in between. Maybe you're good at tanias. You want to stick a little tanias also, okay? So don't just stick one thing, but stick many things, right? But not many things, as I said, when it comes to business. Don't let your businesses affect time on each other. But when it comes to land and farming, don't plant any and anything that's gonna give you problems when it comes to cleaning your garden. Sanitation is very key in the banana field. Okay, so these are things you're gonna be looking into. The dashings are okay; they comes off the ground. Um, the figs off the ground. When I said the pumpkins, you got to be very technical, as I said. When it comes to cleaning, the pumpkin's gonna run, right? When it comes to cleaning, you want to make sure that the cleaning actually take its time and you can pass through and you cannot affect any plant because you need maximum production here. So for now, it's all about planting and figs right here. I have a partner which is going to be partnering with me to do some short crops. I'm not sure if you're going to be want to be on the camera or on the live or whatever it may be, but he we has just did some pumpkins. It has been a real good hit. It did real good. He has gotten very good price for it, right? That's the whole thing here. And he's looking to get into the short crop field, right? So I have to hook up a small nozzle for him, and he's going to be doing that part together with me. And by then, we're going to be showing some videos on what we're doing, and I hope it's going to be, you know, together with me when it comes to doing the videoing. Maybe he might not want to be on the camera or whatsoever it may be, but I'm gonna show you all still, even if he hasn't been there in the working process where we can actually do videos. I'm gonna show you what we do, okay? And maybe as time goes on, he may be able to fit in and get things going right. So that's it in a nutshell. And if there's any other thing that you would like for me to actually explain for you when it comes to business, it may not be in the land. It may be a business you want to start. It may be a business you're looking into. It may be something that you want to be. Okay, you want to see yourself as a good person. Maybe like up in the hierarchies, you want to have at least five things signed to your name, six things signed to your name, seven things signed to your name. You want to have businesses to your name, not just things like maybe your rent and stuff like that. You want to own stuff and things. I can actually come up with little videos. I can actually do lives also where you can ask questions and I can give you responses based on the questions you actually ask. And we can take it from there because that's the whole method I actually try to put out for any person. Okay, I'm not saying that big persons don't know what they're doing or anything like this, but it's for everyone. You know, you may want to start a business, but you may not have that type of knowledge when it comes to choosing businesses, right? But as I always said, it's up to you. It's up to the person to choose the business they love. And for instance, we can work with something like that because that's what I do. I choose what I love, so I give it my best shot. And if it don't work, I consider myself a successor still because actually I tried that and it didn't work. So it's a success for me knowing that I didn't just say it won't work, but I tried it and it didn't work. So I can tell someone that, yeah, we're going into the same field you were actually going into, but mine didn't work because the plan I used, it were not shaping. The plan the person may use, it may be shaping. It may be good. It may be a very good hit, right? So that's something that you may want to actually look into and consider. So investing, if you want to invest, is not a problem. And something I always say to persons that I meet and I talk to is that money doesn't actually have face. Money doesn't take sides. Money doesn't actually collaborate with people like on the things that we can say that they are not your friend or anything like this. Money is like an open something. Money is like the river, a natural source that you have in the country which cannot be sold, like rivers, lakes, and stuff like that. Money is like this. Anybody comes, they actually get into it, and they get the benefit out of it. So if you has the mindset to make money, you has the mindset to go bigger, you has the mindset for a plan to do something with your life, I will recommend that. Don't think about you and you're gonna fail or anything like this because money hasn't told you that you're gonna fail. You might be failing with your own mind saying that you're gonna fail. So you want to put the best positive mindset as possible into your head. You want to make sure that the positive mindset that you're actually using is a mindset that's gonna take you out from one place to another place. So you don't want to just heave up and just do something or do any vika thing and expect to just reap good benefits from it. It doesn't work like that. It works like put yourself into the position, make the extra sacrifice, make the extra effort. And as you continue making the extra sacrifices and efforts, your sacrifice and efforts gonna give you the motivation. And one more thing I can say actually, when it comes to doing a lot of businesses, you may not get a lot of help that you may actually want. That's something a lot of young persons may not be getting into business because of this problem. I did suffer that problem sometimes in doing my businesses also. You don't get persons maybe, right? Maybe you can say you don't get persons to come and ask you how things going, where have you failed, where you think you can do better and stuff like that. You don't get persons to come and tell you those things. These are things that you have to be your own self motivator to actually say, well, you know what? Um, it's for my benefit, it's for my use, it's for my whatever journey I'm actually taking, whether I want to be a millionaire, whether I want to be a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever I want to be when it comes to earning things, you have to actually be the first motivator to yourself. Because I'm telling you straight up, there is not going to be anybody out there who's going to come and say, yo, I see you doing this, I'm going to come and help you and see you reach to the top. That's not going to happen just like this. Because everybody else wants to have the same light of life. Everybody else want to be on the top. Everybody else want to have the money. Everybody else want to have the fame, driving a good vehicle, and have a nice house. So if you actually want to do that, the first thing you need to work on is yourself. You will get mostly criticizing that whatever you're doing is not going to work. Persons are going to envy you because you're doing something and they don't have the resources to do. They may think that they may be left out and you may be actually in. So things like this, you try to keep them far as possible and try to focus on yourself. Build yourself, think about yourself, mind your business, do what you have to do, okay? Because in the long run, you may be wasting your time minding someone else's business and they are minding their business, doing their businesses, making good profits, bettering themselves, helping their families, educating themselves, having better future for their families also. And you minding their business, wasting your time on other person's success, helping them become more achievable, and you just being one way. So this is something you're gonna have to actually have at the top of your head. People's gonna talk, people's gonna say what they have to say, people may not like you, people may move with you like they like you. You don't wanna have too much friends, but you and everybody good. That's me. Me and everybody good. I move, I see everybody, I say yo, I heal, but I don't stick, I don't stay, I don't try to build no set of friendship or anything like this. I be by myself. It's better when you're by yourself. You can have enough time to think, to actually sit down and see what type of business you want to do. If it's not business, as I always tell persons again, when it comes to your job, you can actually see this as a business because you need to budget that money when it comes to your monthly earnings or your fortnightly earnings, however you collect your money. you still have to budget it. There is bills you have to actually pay, and there's things you want to get for yourself. And there is work. You may have a transportation. You may use a public transportation. There is still money that has to be spent. So when it comes to business, I said, don't only see business for business, but see a job. Sometimes you're doing a good job, you're collecting a good money, but see it as actually a business because it still has to manage. It still has to see whether your expenditures is above your profits or whether your profits is actually in good place, so your expenditures is actually down. So these are things that is good to know. It's good to keep when it comes to business. As I said, you have to be your self motivator because not everybody is gonna like what you're doing, especially when you're doing it you alone, and persons are seeing the level of work you're actually putting down, and they might ball for themselves saying by you alone doing four, five, six businesses at the same time, how are you actually handling all of these? And I myself cannot even do one. So these are things that create a lot of stuff in people's minds and keep people at distances that are going to actually hate you for because of you trying to be somebody. So these are things I can say if giving anyone good encouragement. As I said, I don't know how too much I can stress on this. Yes, it's good to have friends, as I said, but know the type of friends you're keeping. You wouldn't know the type of friends you're keeping, but still, you should know the type of friends you're keeping because person's mind is not on a platter where you can actually read it and say that that person is thinking that about me so I can know. But these are things that you don't know. These are people that's going to be with you all the time, but still, they're not going to be the ones to actually say, I'm going to motivate you, I'm going to help you reach the top. They will speak life, but sometimes their mind is not actually to help you, it's more like to break you. So these are things, as I said, when it comes to business, you may need to put these things aside. So put them on the ground for a while and keep yourself moving. And as you keep yourself moving, I guess as much you're gonna see yourself moving 5, 6, 7 years later. So thank you all for watching. I'm gonna be ending the live now. So if there's anything else I'm gonna be coming with, it may be maybe later on or tomorrow, please the Lord. I'm gonna be doing another live. The live may be around 9, 10 o'clock, maybe, based on my time, based on your region, where you're actually looking at my live. So these are things that I'm going to be sharing with you. And tomorrow I'm going to come with a new topic. It may not be in the garden, but it may be on the online section because I am just getting into it. The YouTube is actually the fourth time, but as I said, I just started the affiliate marketing part, and there are things that I actually see there I learned already, and things that I can share with anybody else who actually want to learn. So, as I said, the number one rule in businesses: don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Keep your eggs 12 different baskets. Keep your eggs one per basket. Don't keep it in one basket because when that one crumbles, everything you have crumbles and it's going to be real hard to start again. So that's my few words I leave with you and see you all in the next live.